Part 3. Why just 5 UN permanent members? From August 21 to October 7, 1944, representatives from the United States, Britain, the Soviet Union, and China gathered at an old estate called Dumbarton Oaks near Washington, D.C. This meeting basically laid the entire framework for the UN Charter. All the major questions about how the United Nations would be built were settled right here. Now, when they got to talking about the makeup of the Security Council, that's when things got really interesting. The US initially proposed 4 permanent members, plus 7 non-permanent members. But then, out of nowhere, the Americans changed their tune. Hey, what if we add France as the 5th permanent member? Then, the US representative added, "Oh, and by the way, we might later suggest adding a Latin American country as the 6th permanent member." The Soviet delegate asked which Latin American country. The US said, "Brazil. Think about it. Brazil has a huge population, massive territory, and abundant resources. It totally deserves a permanent seat. Plus, Brazil fought against fascism in World War II and made significant contributions." See? Brazil almost became the 6th permanent member of the UN Security Council. What did Soviet Representative Andrei Gromyko say? He stated that the Soviet Union believed the Security Council permanent members should first be limited to the Big Four and would become the Big Five once France joined. The British representative also chimed in, saying they hoped there would be no 6th permanent seat. Then he dropped a brutally honest truth bomb. Let's be real. Once we open the door by adding France as the 5th, we'll face enormous pressure from countless countries demanding their own permanent seats. The US representative wouldn't give up. Can we at least write provisions into the basic document about how to add permanent members in the future? But both British and Soviet delegates said, no. In the end, the 3 sides reached an agreement. No more permanent members would be added except France. And just like that, Brazil's shot at being the 6th permanent member was gone. At the Yalta Conference in February 1945, the nations decided that when the Constitutional Convention was held in San Francisco, China, and France would join the Soviet Union, the United States, and Britain as co-sponsors of the conference. By that time, France had already established its provisional government. The Chinese government accepted the proposal. France agreed to attend the conference, but declined to be a co-sponsor. After all, they hadn't participated in either the Dumbarton Oaks or Yalta conferences. It wouldn't be fair to ask other countries to sign a charter they had no hand in creating. On June 26, 1945, the San Francisco Constitutional Convention concluded successfully, and the UN Charter was officially signed. Article 23 of the Charter states clearly, "The 5 permanent members of the Security Council shall be the United States, the Soviet Union, China, the United Kingdom, and France." And with that, the status of the 5 permanent members was formally established, the veto power, and how it went completely off the rails. They also established the far-reaching great power unanimity principle that still shapes the world today. When the Security Council votes on non-procedural matters, if even one permanent member casts a negative vote, the resolution is dead in the water. This is what we all know as the one-vote veto power. The system was originally designed to learn the bitter lesson of the League of Nations' failure after WWII back then. The League had no veto power and major powers would just quit whenever they disagreed, making it completely useless. So this time, Everyone wanted the big powers to get on the same page and pool their strength to deal with regional crises. Plain and simple, after two world wars that killed over 70 million people, in World War II alone humanity had finally had enough. This is actually one of the most solid international security mechanisms humans have ever brainstormed in thousands of years. But no one saw what was coming. As soon as the Cold War started, this system went completely off the rails. The US and Soviet Union butted heads all over the globe and to sabotage each other's plans and undermine each other's interests. They would whip out their veto power at the drop of a hat. Over the entire Cold War, the Soviet Union used its veto more than 110 times. And the US used it over 80 times. More often than not, they voted no just to oppose the other side. Even resolutions for humanitarian aid got shot down. And just like that, the noble great power unanimity principle turned into nothing more than a tool for great powers to sabotage each other, completely stripped of its original purpose. Ironically enough, after the Cold War ended, this much maligned principle started working exactly as it was supposed to, and it's only gotten more effective at maintaining world peace and development. It's played an irreplaceable, positive role in everything from preventing regional conflicts from escalating and curbing countries that try to establish regional hegemony to fighting transnational terrorism and responding to global public health crises. To this day, it remains one of the most stable and effective core principles in the UN Charter. Since the founding of the United Nations, this system of permanent Security Council members, while not without controversy, has played an enormous and irreplaceable role in maintaining world peace and resolving regional conflicts. By 2002, the Security Council had authorized and launched roughly 55 peacekeeping operations, deploying over 1 million peacekeepers. These men and women monitor ceasefires, protect civilians, and help with post-war reconstruction in war-torn regions, effectively stopping or slowing the spread and escalation of countless conflicts. Having survived the harshest test of the Cold War, this system didn't collapse. It actually grew stronger and more resilient.